You didn't fast? And you went off keto? What the fuck? Well, I am back. I am back from my trip to Saint Lucia, and it was a refreshing experience. I did a lot of first time shit, and most importantly, it was also a self experiment. You know, what happens when you do a carb refeed properly? Now, by properly, I don't mean go down to Taco Bell or fucking McDonald's and binge your ass off on a cheat day. That is not what I'm talking about. You see, down there, they eat a lot of whole, fresh foods with carbs. They have processed foods. They have sugary desserts. They have sugary drinks. They even chew on fucking sugar cane to cleanse your palate. I think that was a fine dining type fucking thing to do and not something that you or I'll do on a regular basis. But you could, and I actually tried that. I chewed on some sugar cane, and it ain't nothing. It's not like a big sweet fucking thing that you would think. You literally get just a hint of sweetness out of the sugar cane when you chew on it. It's like a big fibrous piece of shit that you can't digest, but it gives you a little bit of sweet juice, and that eventually turns into the thing that destroys your fucking entire metabolism, makes you go overweight, gives you a fatty liver and all that other shit once they refine it. But that's the thing with anything that you refine, when you make cocaine, obviously that has side effects. Same thing with sugar, but not to go off on that tangent. So I went down there, and this was a photography gig, and the meals were provided for breakfast and dinner. Lunch was pretty much on, your own. And so for breakfast, the breakfast would have been easy if that was all I did. I probably could have done one meal a day had I been able to eat to satiety on breakfast. Now, here's the problem. St. Lucia is not flat. It is a very, very mountainous island. And the villa I was staying in was at the top of one of these mountainous things. So I was easily burning 1,000 calories every day extra in exercise. And as you know, if you do that and you don't eat enough calories to maintain that level of energy expenditure, your metabolism will plummet and you will overeat and regain or gain more weight. And if you're eating carbs and sugar in that equation, it'll just exacerbate the whole process. So I elected, given that the meal portions were human being sized, another thing I noted about being in another country is their portion sizes were nothing like us. Now, granted, some of this was fine dining. This was this was a wealthy retreat. I mean, the 5-star dining experiences and the food portions and the gourmet chef shit. These were all small portion sizes. Dinner was 3 courses, small portion sizes. A little bit of protein, a little bit of carbs, and a little bit of sugar for dessert. And by a little bit of dessert, I mean 2 or 3 spoonfuls and your fucking dessert was gone. Plenty of alcohol to go around. They did have sugary drinks. I didn't partake in any of that. But basically, over the course of the 6 days, I ate the local foods. And, it was a limited menu. If you wanted more, you could buy more. I, of course, did not. And so I ate what they gave me, pretty much. And in the morning, I started every morning with a nice heaping pile of eggs. I did have bread with those eggs in the morning and butter. And of course, liberal amounts of coffee. The only sweetener they had access to for my coffee was Splenda, so there was sucralose, which I wasn't happy about because it did increase my gas. And, so I did that in the morning. I would do that. Then a huge amount of physical activity throughout the day. Swimming in the ocean. And there's going to be adventure videos that kind of show you all of this. But I just wanted to talk to you about it now that I'm back and have a chance to actually make fucking videos and do my shit again and my research. But, this is a very interesting self-experiment for me because it didn't have the results I thought it was going to have. I thought this 6 days was going to completely destroy and erase months and months of fucking progress that I made while keto, while doing longer fasts. And this experience has kind of made me think about my weight in a different way and how I monitor my progress and how much fasting I do in response to certain things. Basically, what I noticed is I only gained 3 pounds the entire trip. The whole week, I didn't fast, and one of the days I even had 3 meals. I did have a lunch, which consisted of a small shrimp skewer appetizer, which was pretty much keto, low fat. There wasn't much fat involved in that, so I wouldn't call it keto. It's just a low carb appetizer along with coffee. And that was a lunch that I had one day, despite having breakfast, which was one serving, I'd say maybe 3 eggs was about what I could eat for breakfast before they ran out. And then, of course, a moderately carb dinner, which contained protein and veg, but also had some potatoes and bread involved in that process. So that was the extent. I did have a risotto one day, which was mostly rice. And, so I did what I would call a healthy carb refeeding. It wasn't going down and getting a fucking pizza. It wasn't going to McDonald's. It wasn't going to eat all the fucking carbs you can stuff into your face in one day. It was, okay, there's a small portion of carbs in each of my meals and a small portioned dessert at the end of the day. And I regained 3 pounds. I thought I was going to regain 8 pounds just from water weight and overdoing it. And what this tells me is sugar is the fucking devil in this. If you keep your sugar lower, you will not regain as much weight. You will not hold as much water weight. If your diet is healthy enough with carbs, you're not going to regain shit tons of weight. Now, do I mean that this is the way to go? No, I think it needs to be spaced out, and periodic carb refeedings, once you are fat adapted, are okay, because I also didn't notice a massive increase in hunger that I expected. That was the next big thing I was thinking. I'm like, okay, I got carbs coming in. I got fucking sugar coming in. My hunger's going to be through the roof. I'm going to end up overeating because I'm fucking too hungry and blah, 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 blah. Didn't happen. I was full at the end of each of these meals. So apparently the fat adaptation I did before I went down there reset my appestat, as in I only got hungry until I had the food I needed, and I was full at the end of each meal. It took 20 minutes after I finished my portion before I felt satisfied, and that was just 20 minutes of just sitting there drinking coffee or drinking water and letting my food settle. There was a good 10 minutes between each course, so it was a long meal with small portions. And by the end of the meal, I did not feel the need. I didn't want to go and order a whole nother entree or a whole nother appetizer. I was satisfied at the end of the meal, but then I would be hungry again in the morning when breakfast came. So my body was giving me the cues that I was burning a lot of energy and I was hungry more often. Not necessarily a binge hunger all in one shot, But each meal, I became hungry. And by hungry, I'm not talking about physical, strong hunger. Anybody that fasts knows the difference between this. This was a general, your brain says, okay, we've done a lot of energy expenditure, time to eat and refeed. And my energy expenditure, I believe, during this, slightly exceeded my caloric intake, which may put me in some metabolic danger. When you exercise excessively, and I do believe I put on muscle weight, I believe that at least a pound of that 3 pounds was muscle because my endurance improved. If you walk up that fucking mountain enough times, it starts to become easier, especially when you're carrying fucking photography gear up that mountain. And, and it's just so many times of doing that, plus swimming, plus ocean swimming, plus snorkeling, plus all of this shit that I did while I was there. Don't worry, there's video and pictures and shit. We're going to get there with the third later in the week once I can put together some shit. I got a lot of work to do on that. But my energy expenditure was higher than normal. So you would think my hunger would be higher than normal. And I am worried about how much fasting I should lead off with. So what I have done in response to get my weight back to where it was and normalize, I was tempted to do a 5-day fast. But then I'm sitting here, I'm realizing, because I fuck myself in the mirror every morning to see, what things are looking like. And I noticed some greater muscle definition in my arms, definitely better muscle definition in my legs, as in I, didn't struggle towards the end going up and down that hill. I wasn't breathing super heavy anymore. I was generally, my fitness level improved. I probably put on some muscle, and I probably put on a little bit of fat and a little bit of water. And when you add all of that together, that equals literally a 1/4 inch around the belly is all I gained, despite the 3-pound gain. I thought I would be back up at 39 inches or some shit, but 36 inches, 0.75 this morning. This is after not fasting, eating carbs. As far as I know, I'm a carb burner. I haven't had an energy crisis. I am ketogenic once again right now. I fasted about 30 hours and broke my fast with eggs and sausage and some cheese and some nuts and coffee with heavy cream in it. And that's all I've eaten today. And I will continue the eating window to tomorrow evening and then start another fast and then transition into ADF. The reason I'm not doing a long fast is I'm worried that I won't eat enough to continue because I am still a little sore. I did carry heavy ass bags all over fucking JFK, all over the island before we left to their airport. So I got a nice hefty workout yesterday. So I felt it was important that since I burnt so much energy and I lifted so much weight, because my bags are not light, that it would behoove me to refeed properly with the proper foods. Not carbs, but with enough protein and fat so that my body knows that I'm taking in the energy I spent. And that is important hormonally and apostat-wise so that my metabolism doesn't shift in the wrong direction, which it will. It does. I've gone over this again and again, and why you can't exercise a bad diet. You can't. It works against that energy balance system. If you eat more and your energy balance system's working properly, your metabolism rises. You become more energetic. You feel fucking better and shit. And if you don't exercise or don't do anything physical, then your energy intake, your hunger, your appetite, how long it takes for you to get full, that all goes down. And this only works properly if you are not overloading with sugar, overloading with carbs, eating if you're eating whole foods and eating a ketogenic diet, you will be fine. You will eat until you are full and you will not binge or overeat because you will become full. One thing that I definitely need to stress for the future, if you're one of the motherfuckers that goes back for a second plate, give yourself 20 to 30 minutes. And if you are hungry still, then go get your second plate on keto. If you're a carb, sugar, bad food eating motherfucker, you're just about to have to stay hungry. Because if you go back for that second plate, I guarantee you, if you are eating carbs and you're eating sugar, you are going to fucking overeat. That's how it works. So going forward, I've transitioned back to ADF. I have 1 week at home, and then I go out for my vacation, which was planned long before Saint Lucia popped up. So I've done a crazy amount of travel booked for this month. I'm generating content. I got tons of video, tons of pictures, and tons of stories to share with all of you about my Saint Lucia trip that will trickle out this week. I will try and do a live stream before I go as well. I'm thinking Thursday night at some point I will go live to talk about some things, because I am, spurring back up my research. I've found some new things to talk about. Some important shit that we need to talk about in the realm of the ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting, and some new evolutions in minimalism and lifestyle that I've come to learn about through this travel that I believe has changed or slightly skewed my fucking perspective on lifestyle too. But we'll see where this all goes. But today I just wanted to go over the weight regain from the 6-day refeed. I abstained from fasting, essentially. I did eat fairly intuitively. I wasn't hungry until dinner time on the days when I had breakfast. I had coffee in the middle of the day, black usually. Sometimes I had some milk. They had milk, but it's full fat milk in with the coffee. So that gave me a little bit of carbs in my coffee. But by no means was I concerned if I was in ketosis or, anything like that. I knew that I was causing some, I was undoing some of my weight loss. But I believe I did it in a healthy way, and that some of the weight regain was beneficial things like muscle. Another thing is I haven't shit for a little while since I left, so I'm carrying some food weight in that 3-pound equation and that belly measurement, because I do find that sometimes I take a nice hard dump and the goddamn waist shrinks. So there's that. There's also some gas and bloating because I was eating fucking Splenda for my sweetener. I did do black coffee quite a bit more too. It's just every once in a while I wanted something sweet, so I put some Splenda in my coffee. And that was kind of a de facto, at the end of my breakfast thing. I wanted something sweet after all the savory eggs and shit. And the eggs and the mixed with mushrooms and sauteed, onions, mushrooms, and veg in there, they eat very healthily, at least at the places I was at. Their supermarket that we did go into at one point had a lot of processed shit. And a lot of the shit that causes our metabolic issues was there. But as far as the resort that I stayed at and the restaurants and the chef that I saw, it was all locally prepared and produced food. And I don't know if you've ever been in a jungle, but they have a lot of avocado. They have a lot of tree nuts. They have, you could literally get almonds. If you had some patience and knew how to crack an almond fruit, whatever, properly, you would get the almonds out. And some guy with a machete was showing us that shit. I don't know if I got that on video, but I think I got a few pictures of it. It was all local foods. It was all seafoods that were harvested locally. And, it was just a different dietary experience to anything I was used to. I mean, I had a lot of first food. Like, I eat sea urchin. I wasn't too happy with sea urchin. I didn't try the turtle. I think I drew the line at eating turtle, which will make vegans flip the fuck out. Don't go there if you're fucking vegan, all right? Because there's some animals that you probably think are nice that get eaten. And I myself didn't bring myself to try the turtle. There was a couple other, odd sea wildlife that got eaten. I think octopus and some other shit that I didn't get a chance to really sample. But all in all, I would say it was a interesting perspective shift on what other countries are doing besides what we do here in the United States. And it was also very eye-opening that, yes, there is a place in people that aren't metabolically damaged, I believe, for healthy. And by healthy, I mean smaller portions of carbs and maintaining weight, a healthy weight. No, you're not going to get six-pack abs or be ripped eating the foods that they were eating. But I would contend that if your metabolism is fixed, if your diet and physical level is at the same level as theirs is, that you can maintain a long, healthy life. You won't, be a fucking supermodel, but as many of you know, that's not my goal. But you will be healthier than if you are eating shit tons of carbs and, with no regard for how much sugar you're taking in and all of that. Sugar is the big one, the big thing. If you cut nothing, I know a lot of you take a shit on keto. I just had somebody say they can't keto today on one of my comments as I shared some keto success stories on my Facebook page, which you can like in the description, where I commonly share the videos and articles from other motherfuckers that catch my eye and it kind of inspire me a little bit. But there's a lot of people that say I can't do keto because of this, that, and the other. And if you're an intermittent faster and a ketogenic dieter, there's really no excuse why you can't. I mean, you can fast your way through situations where you're not able to eat keto and just have coffee, black coffee or something. Yeah, I've done that. I've sat at dinner with motherfuckers where I didn't see or I didn't have the money to eat anything keto, and I would watch them eat while sipping my coffee and be fine. Yeah, I'd be a little bit cravey for some of the foods, especially if they were keto foods. And, so it's really not an excuse at this point. And I know from being a trucker that that's the hardest way to be keto. But you could still do it. It's not going to be the healthy, optimal fucking shit. You're going to have to eat a lot of keto processed foods that are low carb and maybe some unhealthy fats cooking your grilled chicken or your fucking whatever chicken or beef that you eat out in the world. And you're just going to have to work with restaurants, say, keep my dressing to the side, pick every fucking menu has a salad, some protein, and you can probably get butter to drench over it if you need to. So there's really no reason, like I can go to Five Guys and get a double cheeseburger without the bun and be fairly well satisfied, get some peppers and onions or fucking mushrooms put on top of it, and that's a keto meal. And then I make sure I put extra fat in my coffee that day, or I get my fat in, so I have enough calories for my energy expenditure, but I'm keeping my glycogen lower and therefore staying in ketosis, therefore utilizing any fat that I make in the process. And it's a balancing act, and our body is designed for energy balance. Now, I posted a video today. Not my video, someone else, that was a testimonial video that I came across of somebody who just lost 11 pounds. It's on the Facebook page too. Basically being keto and nothing else. She didn't say anything about fasting or anything. And she was buying shit from Walmart, from the dollar store. She obviously was on a budget. She had a family of 4 or 5 or something to feed. And keto can be expensive if you're going the organic, optimal health route. If you're buying the healthiest fucking shit. But she lost all that weight buying processed foods that are keto, as in by keto, I mean low carb. by eating plenty of fatty foods, by putting fat in the coffee and stuff like that, and still lost the weight. Now, is she the epitome of a bodybuilder or a fitness model? No, that's not the goal here. That's not what my channel is about. There are plenty of motherfuckers that'll show you how to get a six-pack on fucking YouTube. And they essentially do extreme fucking low carb with a shit ton of bulking, and it's just this big bulk carbs fucking cycle, and overeating and undereating and overeating and undereating, and really tanking your fucking metabolism. Meanwhile, you'll be fucking hungry to no end, but you'll see your abs for a little while as long as you keep doing that shit. As someone like me who doesn't want to go out of his way to do that shit or build muscle or build this physique that everyone seems to crave and epitomize as the healthiest fucking thing, it's not about that. It's never been about that for me. Maybe early on I was like, I wonder if I have a six-pack and shit. Now I'm like, I'm happy I don't have any diabetic medications. I'm happy that my health markers are all good. My blood pressure is good. I'm happy that I have energy to go and do things like I did on this trip. I'm glad that I feel good. I'm not under a doctor's care. I'm glad that I don't have diabetes or I'm not pre-diabetic like I once was. I'm glad I'm not 255 motherfucking pounds anymore, that I'm in my 190s, that I've touched 180s. I'm in lower 190s right now from this trip, but I was in the 180s prior to this trip, and that was with fasting and keto. And I anticipate that as long as I return to that keto baseline, whenever I'm not doing special shit like this vacation and next week's vacation, questionably too, I'm going to try and stay keto for the majority of that if possible. But, I know that I can maintain my current weight and my current level of health. I won't look as great. I'm not 100% happy with the belly area that I have. And I don't think I ever will be, because I notice when it does go down, when I get to the 180s and I stay in the 180s, that it doesn't look good. All right. It's a little flappy skin with a little bit of bulgy, and it really very easily can fucking hold water weight and get bloated and all of that. And it's really not the prettiest part of my body, but everywhere else is fine. I look, feel, and act healthy, and that is what is important. If I were to go to a doctor tomorrow and get labs, I guarantee you my labs would be fine, and my health would be fine. My blood pressure would be fine. I wouldn't need any medications, and I probably wouldn't need to go back to the doctor for, at least a year for a checkup. And, that's it. That's what it's about at my age. I'm turning 42. That's what it's about. It's not about washboard abs and fucking running around on a beach looking great. I could give a flying fuck about that, and neither should you. We shouldn't have that goal. Because quite honestly, it makes no difference in the grand scheme of attracting the opposite sex. There's someone out there for everybody. At least that's what, it looks like. Granted, I've stumbled, but I've been in a lot of relationships. And I've been in relationships despite being 255 pounds and overweight and unhealthy and miserable and a prick, probably too, because of my sugar addictions and alcohol problems that I've had in the past. I'm a long way from there now. I'm in a much better place now. And I really don't give a shit if I'm in a relationship or not. And I find that when you get to that point, opportunities come up. But it's not important as a life goal for me at this point. And I would establish that if you're already in a relationship, you got no excuse, that you should be doing it for your health. Because whoever's with you is already with you. And they'll probably only get happier with your results, because your mood will improve, your health will improve, your energy levels will improve. And even if you don't get the fucking, biceps or the abs, or if you're a woman, getting all toned and, slender completely, if you're already in a relationship, you know, even if you only have a moderate level of improvement in your, health, that will reflect in your fucking relationships. So that's what you got to keep in mind is the end goal. So did I get depressed that I ate carbs and that I got out of my fat adaptation over the course of this vacation? No, I did not. Because I know I jump right back on the horse when I'm not fucking doing that kind of shit. And I will return back to my baseline, which is upper 180s. And I will sprinkle in longer fasts as needed once I'm sure I've recovered physically from the muscle exercise that I did, the heavy lifting and the climbing and that kind of stuff. I want to give my body time to recover, to regrow muscle, to have ample energy for my body to use. And ADF is fine for that because I know on, my eat days, I will eat according to what my body needs. Without MyFitnessPal, without a goddamn Fitbit watch, or without a probe shoved up my ass, taking my fucking ketone meter shit. I don't need to know any of that. I don't. We don't need all that biomarker shit. It's all about the end results. I hear so many people that are obsessed about pissing ketones and checking your blood ketones and breathing in shit. We don't need all of that. It's about our end result. It's about how you feel, how you look, your energy levels. If you're on fucking meds, if you have to go to the doctor every fucking week because of a different problem you're having. When you get rid of all of that, it's the most freeing fucking thing in the world. And I am not the end all be all of fucking health by any stretch of the imagination. I am not optimal health guy. I'm not looking at supplements and the best fats to eat and whatever. My goals usually align with a healthy amount of fasting and eating enough fat and keeping my protein in a moderate level, which I sometimes fail at, by the way. I sometimes overconsume protein, which is not something you're supposed to do on a ketogenic diet because you do refill glycogen that way. But at the same time, I'm not obsessing about ketosis either. Because I know that that's just part of the process, that there's a balancing act that goes on. As you become more fat adapted, your body will hold on to glycogen in favor of making ketones because I believe a moderate amount of glycogen in your body is useful if you do high intensity bouts of things. If you need to run away from the fucking lion in the forest that's going to fucking eat your asshole, you might want to have some glycogen on board so you can do that big burst of speed to get the hell out of the way. I believe that we shouldn't be devoid, and we aren't, by the way, devoid of glycogen. Our body just holds on to it more when you're low on it. If you're chronically on a ketogenic diet, your body is going to hold on to the glycogen if it can efficiently and, safely power everything with ketones. That's the thing. When you are able to metabolize the ketones efficiently, you can spare the glycogen. And other than the liver, that's a whole other ballgame. Your muscles will be holding glycogen despite you being in ketosis. Even if you're checking your blood ketones with a blood ketone meter, just because you're having high blood ketones does not mean that your muscles are empty of glycogen. It's not how it works. And your muscles are the other big glycogen tank in your body. And if you're highly active physically, you have a higher carb tolerance, not a sugar tolerance. Fructose, no. Carbs, oh, maybe. Healthy. In a moderate amount. And I stress moderate. Not the 40-50% of your fucking calories coming from it. I would contend anything over 30% of your daily carbs, which is the top end of a low-carb diet, is the max at any time that you should be going with carbs. The max should be 30% of your daily intake from carbs. Keto's 10. That's the difference. And it's all about level. It's all about your damage too. How fucked up you are, how fat you are. These are all factors that you need to think about. And look at it's assess yourself. It's easy to self-experiment. You know when you go and fuck up because you feel like shit, your energy levels tank, and you gain a shit ton of weight. That didn't happen for me on this trip. I gained a small amount of weight. Mainly water and muscle probably, because I only gained a 1/4 inch around the belly. And that's where I hold my fat when I get fat. If I would have went on a fucking standard American diet week, I'd be having a much different conversation with you right now. And I may end up at doing that next week. I don't know what kind of foods are. I've never been to Disney, so I don't know what's there. And I will blog about it and tell you about how I get through, or if I do have cheat meals or whatever. And I anticipate maybe it's a vacation. And it was supposed to be a vacation. This was work. You know, granted, I sprinkled work in with vacation. This is a workcation I was just at with Saint Lucia. I had a shit ton of photography. I took a shit ton of pictures, probably 8,000 pictures total over the course of the week that I'm currently working my way through. And, you know, I might have overshot a little, but it was so rare that I get to a place like this that I didn't want to not have all the pictures I could get and all the video I could shoot. I was a little light on the video side because I was so busy with the photography side. I didn't blog a lot while I was there. So the adventure video is going to be a little bit of blog that while I was there, sprinkled with a lot of narration and storytelling, with video and associated pictures to go with. So that's what's coming up there to share my trip. I'll also, I'll be sharing my Instagram with you guys this week, just so you can kind of keep up with me when I do excursions like this, because I'm finding it easy as a photographer to post there. And I'll also give you a P.O. box that you can send shit to. I did promise that. I just wanted to make sure everything was set up before I release that. So these are things that are coming this week before I leave out for Disney. I believe next Tuesday for a week. And then that'll be it for vacations for a while. And we'll be back into the routine and keeping content flowing. I hope to spend more time doing this. I want to do this for a living. I want to cut Uber out of the equation at some point of my income so that I could spend that much more time producing content. Or, you know, I'd love to be just YouTuber photographer. You know, in between the two, if I could make a living doing that, I would get rid of the Uber, which takes up time and mindless, stupid shit. I would much rather be spending that time researching or going live or doing, you know, things to maintain the community and to maintain health, or to go out and produce more content out in the world instead of just in this boring motherfucking studio setting that I do here. And these are all things made possible by you watching, you liking, you subscribing, you tipping during the live streams, or you supporting on Patreon. And coming up, per request, I will have a place where you can mail shit to. So that's all in the works, and I will discuss those things once they roll out. Eventually, we might move into selling some of my photography, if for those of you who are interested. And all of this is optional. You don't have to do any of this shit. You can just watch, like, and subscribe, and you are helping for now, assuming Google doesn't fuck me with the ads, which they almost did. We're all right still with the ad revenue for now. But remember, I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just a fucking asshole. And what I want to leave you with is refeeds. Should you do them? If you're careful, if you do not eat sugar, or you eat such a small amount, we're talking 3 or 4 spoonfuls of a dessert, max, and you do not drink your sugar, and the carbs you're eating are healthy, like potatoes or fucking rice or any of that kind of carbs. Bread, only if it's freshly made without sugar. You know, the kind that goes bad in 3 days and becomes stale because it doesn't have sugar preserving it. AKA none of the shit on your store shelves. Go down to your local bakery and ask them if they put sugar in their bread. Something like that. You know, I believe every once in a while, taking a break, once you've been fat adapted, once you've done at least 6 to 8 weeks on a ketogenic diet, I believe you can do a carb refeed of multiple days if you're doing it healthily, if you're being very moderate in the carbs, as in they're 30% of your diet max, that it's okay every once in a while to have some carbs. It'll kick you out of ketosis. You might even make a little bit of fat. But what you won't be making if you're keeping the sugar out is visceral fat. That's the important one. And that is the one that fucks you the most. Now, I know I might get some people, I can't eat any carbs. I get fat if I look at a piece of bread. I understand. I was there. And I still probably am there if you're talking standard American diet bread. Like the kind you get in a sandwich at fucking Five Guys or at fucking McDonald's. But if you're careful about your carb selection on your refeed, I believe occasional carb refeeds could work. Especially if you're physically active. If you're not physically active, don't do it. By physically active, I mean you're burning 800 to 1,000 extra calories a day eating, or working. Or working or activities or whatever. I'm not suggesting go to the gym, but hey, some of you do that. Keep it in mind. If you are active and not sitting on your ass on the couch, I would contend that occasional carb refeeding is okay once you're fat adapted, and it doesn't take long to get reacquainted with being fat adapted afterwards. Each fat adaptation I've done, of the 3 so far, this is starting number 4, which will only last a week, so I wouldn't even call this a restart necessarily. But it'll be interesting to see what my energy levels do with just having a week of glycogen depletion and being fat adapted versus 6 to 8 weeks before going into another setting where I may have some healthier carbs in moderation. My appetite's fine. My energy levels are above normal today. I've been very active today as far as getting work done. I haven't felt, tired or miserable despite just coming back from a trip and a very long plane ride back because we had a huge layover and delay in fucking New York City. So, that's what I want to leave this video with, and I'm saving that for you motherfuckers that watch this all the way through. Occasional carb cycling or refeeding in a healthy, non-standard American diet way, I believe, is a healthy addition to the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting. This is making me reevaluate longer fasts given what happened with my last 5-day fast and the complete erasure of it, despite maintaining a ketogenic diet. So, it's kind of made me think a little bit about that. So I'll continue to experiment with long fasts, of course, because there are other health reasons for doing so. But I've got a lot of food for thought from this trip. I'm going to get some more food for thought from the Disney trip. And I'll share all of that with all of you. So please like and subscribe to my shit. And I'll make more motherfucking shit. And I'll also, continue to research and continue to self-experiment and continue to share my adventures and lifestyle with you guys, because I do have some minimalism shit I want to talk about coming up and some things to think about that I've learned over the course of these, few weeks where I've kind of gotten a taste of a more affluent life. I will say that definitely Saint Lucia gave me a taste of how affluent or rich motherfuckers enjoy life. compared to the way a minimalist like me enjoy his life. And I want to contrast my views on what they do and what I do and kind of go through that. That's where I'm going with the adventure video from Saint Lucia. So look forward to that. But only if you're subscribed. Because if you don't subscribe, you don't know when my shit's coming up. Alright, I think that's enough for this motherfucking video today. So, I already said, remember, I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just an asshole. And have a nice motherfucking day. And shit.